coming up on International Trade Focus. On today's episode, we shall take a look at Ghana's export potential in the non-traditional export sector, using the case of SAMBA food as a typical example.
Hello, my name is Anastasia and this is International Trade Focus. Now, this program seeks to highlight international trade-related activities here in Ghana and beyond. This week's edition of International Trade Focus will be coming to you from Tema. We will be examining Ghana's export potential in the non-traditional export sector using the case of SAMBA foods as an example. Remember, International Trade Focus is brought to you by Ghana Free Zones Authority. They say sharing good fortunes, and supported by GOIL, Good Energy, Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, Truly, Agric and more. International Trade Focus is also supported by Pediase Valley Resort. Don't go away, we'll be right back after this break. On our in-depth segment, we had an interaction with the brain behind SAMBA Foods, Mrs. Letitia Osafo-Addo. She told us how this dream all started and how far the company has come. Hello and welcome back to International Trade Focus. Our guest for today is Mrs. Letitia Osafo-Addo. She is the Chief Executive Officer and the founder of SAMBA Foods. Together, we're going to take a look at Ghana's export potential in the non-traditional export sector. Hello, madam. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you also so much for having me.
So first of all, I want to know, from an anesthetist to an entrepreneur, what inspired you to embark on this journey?
This is a question that I've been asked several times, and I always want to give the same answer. Previously, as an anesthetist, I was actually putting people to sleep during operations. So that would be the therapeutic aspect of medicine. Today, I'm doing the prophylactic aspect of medicine, that is, feeding people with the right kind of food so that they wouldn't even be sick to go to the hospital to need an operation for me to anesthetize them. So basically, these are some of the things that went into the my intention of going into business. Again, I also wanted to make a statement that a very simple product that we all see around us could eventually be an exportable commodity. So these are some of the things that went into the thinking of going into business.
So your choice of products is quite interesting. I find it quite interesting. Shito. Yeah. Why did you go into Shito? Were you in the beginning targeting Ghanaians outside the country, let's say for African shops and so on and so forth? I really want to know why you decided to go into Shito.
You know, Shito as a product, something that everybody, particularly those in boarding institutions, were using. Up until the time I started Shito, there was no ready-made Shito on the Ghanaian market. So this is a market niche that I saw an opportunity, and I set out, to capture it. Thus making our company the first to commercialize this common product Shito.
So let's go back into history 1 second. Yeah. How did it all start from the very first bottle of Shito that you produced? How did it all start? The team that you started with, and the excitement, after seeing that SAMBA Shito is ready on the market and it can be exported and all of that good stuff. What was the feeling like, and can you take us back into history and tell us how it all started?
Wow, that is going back to 1993. I had an outpatient clinic in Dawenya where they have the irrigation project. That is where I cultivated pepper, 1 acre of pepper. And after harvesting, I dried it, milled it into a powder and thought of what to do with this powder pepper. That is when it struck me that, Actually, having gone through all the markets in Ghana, I can't see pepper in glass jars or bottle shito. So this is what I'm going to do. And I started with 10 jars, gave it to friends for tasting and evaluation, and they all gave their genuine comments. Oh, this is a very brilliant idea. So we started with 20 jars that we gave to the then Kingsway stores in Accra. And that being a novelty, within 2 days, everything was gone. And that was the birth of SAMBA Foods.
Yeah. So you said 1993, right?
Yeah.
And we are in 2019
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
How would you assess the growth of SAMBA Foods?
Yeah.
First of all, how many hands do you employ?
Today, we have 25 permanent workers and about 40 casuals who come when there are a lot of work to be done. But on averagely, there are about always 10 who are always with the 25, including myself, plus the CEO, that's about 27. Our growth paths have been painfully slow, but very consistent. We started from the kitchen in my own residence. Today, we are in the heavy industrial area. Ultimately, we will be moving to our own multi-purpose processing facility here in Tema. So I would say that our growth, though quite checkered, have been quite consistent and steady.
So the focus of our program is on international trade.
Yes.
And I know that SAMBA Shito is exported. So how did you get onto the international market? Which country did you first export to?
Yeah, we started with Denmark and UK, but our buyers in those countries they couldn't perform that well. So today we are actually in the US, where we are quite, I would say, big. How did we get there? It has also been quite a long history. There are a lot of things that you have to have in place when you really want to go to the export market. Your production facility must be of international standards. Your knowledge in export trade must be also in order. And of course, your source of raw materials. These things are things that your technology that you use, they must be, and then have an in-depth knowledge of whatever tariffs that exist out there and what you need to do, the regulatory compliance that you have to adhere to. All these are things that you need to know before you'll be able to export to the export market. A lot of people went there blindly, and then you bend your fingers big time. Yeah.
So we know that one of the reasons why the export sector boosts the economy of each nation is the chain of events that happens. So for instance, from the casual workers you employ to the permanent workers and to those that you source your raw materials from. So where do you source your raw materials from?
Basically, the granules is coming from the northern parts of the country and some parts of the Volta region. The other vegetables are also from the southern side, and we have farmers that we have contracted, for them to supply us our inputs. So they are from locally. Only oils and the packaging materials, tomatoes, and they are imported into the country.
The packaging and the labeling of your products, has it ever posed as a challenge to you?
Initially, yes. To have an internationally accepted labels and packaging requires also an in-depth research and knowledge about what you want to do. So you need to have people, experts who can design, propose and recommend the kind of packaging that you have or you should have, for the export market. And these are things that you need to actually source for. So that is how come we, in fact, we are using one of the latest, the packaging shito in sachets. It was a very, very difficult procedure, but with the right kind of people, that is the manufacturers, we had to go there, sit with them, research into the materials before they were able to manufacture that kind of machine for us. So it is quite an intensive research that you need to do.
So there's a popular notion, which is a negative one, I would say, that most things produced in Ghana are not of top quality. So I want to know, in your export procedure, or your exporting process, or you've been exporting for quite some time now, what has been the response on the international market concerning the products that you export, the peanut butter and the shito?
I would say very positive, otherwise we wouldn't be in business. One of the key things that as a food processor you need to do is to have systems in place, food safety systems in place that are monitored by external auditors. In fact, we produce for a global brand like KFC, and they bring their auditors from South Africa twice a year. And if you don't pass their audit, you are out of the business. So it is very, very important that you adhere to all the regulatory requirements, the food safety systems, everything that will make you stand out. And once you have these systems in place, you have what we call product consistency. You have developed, in fact, we have validated our processes and the product itself. SAMBA Shito is the only one that has been validated by an international organization. It was taken to Switzerland and then Food Research Institute, where, once you add a certain quantity of ingredients through certain temperature, through certain time frame, you would certainly get this product's output. You understand? These are documented, so you can't make a mistake. And this is what the external market or the export market requires. You need to have certification. They must be able to come and check you anytime. And once you have these things in place, if I'm not here, the systems are there and it will work. You have the right people, the experts there to work for you. And that's what, but if you want to cut corners, there's nothing like cutting corners. And that is how come we get problems, the export. You need to be very consistent with your processes, your everything.
Like all enterprises, I believe that SAMBA Foods has had its own share of ups and downs. So take us through some of the challenges that you've encountered. One distinct challenge that you will never forget. Please share with us.
I'm so surprised this is coming at almost the tail end, because the challenges sometimes outweighs, the successes. But even the small successes also, makes you so quickly forget, the pains that you've gone through. There are two types of challenges: that exogenous challenge, that is those that you cannot, command, those that you can't influence. Roads are bad, I can't do much. Electricity is expensive, I can't do much, but I need to be able to manage it. But the endogenous ones, those that I can influence, would be one from the enterprise level. What can I do to make my enterprise meet the challenges or mitigate the challenges that is around? You need to have systems in place, as I've said. You need to source for the right type of raw materials, because quality raw materials is very essential for your product. You need to have the right kind of people, skilled people, to be doing your work. And of course, technology is very, very essential, because without technology, we started off with mortar and piston and mortar. Today we have automated plant, so these are some of the challenges that you go through. The worst one that we have had, and it was a horrific experience that we had, is financing. Oh, we became indebted, and we thought the financial institutions that we've had such a long-standing relationship with would understand that, well, this is it and we need to move forward. No, they needed their money, and my private residence was on the market, And that was one of the harrowing experiences that I had. We've been able to sort that out, and we are moving. But it was a real harrowing experience for us, and we nearly threw in the towel. But thanks to God, because SAMBA would not take no for an answer, we were able to surmount the kind of challenge. Yeah.
So you mentioned that sometimes the challenges outweigh the successes. But I beg to differ, because I've seen so many awards here. I've seen so many awards here. What would you say contributed to the many awards that you received?
Yeah. We are most grateful for everybody, all our stakeholders, you know, for the support and the commitment, loyalty that we've gotten from all our stakeholders, particularly our customers, loyal customers. We can see that we have a lot of awards. Some so touching, sometimes you get emotional when you stand on the podium to receive them, but it has been through a dent of hard work. I'm not going to claim that for myself alone. It's a team that we work with, and everybody has been a contributing factor to the successes that we've had.
What are some of the awards?
There are more than 16, but the one that really touches me is the Marketing Woman of the Year 2000, and then the state recognition, Member of the Order of the Volta, which was presented by the whole president, the late Professor Mills, highly commendable African Businesswoman of the Year, quite a lot. And then, of course, the best African listing company that we got in New York, quite a lot, both locally and outside. And these are the moments that you forget all the pains, of course, that you've had throughout the years. Yes.
We'll be taking a quick break and
okay.
then we'll come back. If you just tuned in, you're watching International Trade Focus. Mrs. Letitia Osafo-Addo is our guest for today. She is the founder and the Chief Executive Officer of SAMBA Foods. We'll be right back after this break. Stay tuned. A warm welcome back. Mrs. Letitia Osafo-Addo is the CEO of SAMBA Foods. She's also the founder of SAMBA Foods. Before the break, we were talking about SAMBA Foods and how it all started, where they are at the moment. Now we're coming to look into policies and everything that she believes government can do or stakeholders can do in order to boost the non-traditional export sector here in Ghana. But before we proceed to that, what is SAMBA Foods currently exporting now?
Yeah, the shito sauce, the peanut butter, the ginger garlic paste, the garlic paste, and then the ginger paste. You know, these are all pepper-based sauces, and then the papushito sauce that we also both local and exports. Yeah.
What are the volumes?
The volumes our plant produces about 120 tons a month. You know, so something close to 50 tons of these products go out to the every month. Yeah.
So, what is your view on the current status of Ghana's non-traditional export sector, enterprises included? Do you think that we are doing enough? I always ask this question, do you think we are doing enough?
Well, I must say yes and no. Yes, because there have been various attempts and initiatives, you know, to promote the non-traditional exports, including export financing, including tariffs reductions, tax exemptions, and other things. So probably I would say yeah. And no, because we are still not seeing, despite the kind of, even if the supports are not adequate, it does not commensurate with the output that is being seen out there. A lot of companies go on the export market, but within a very short time, they just cave in, which means there might be something wrong. So I think there must be a holistic and targeted support for this sector. It must be identified as a priority sector and given support. When I say support, not necessarily only finance, money, but the product itself, there must be some kind of product development. Before you come up with a product, you must be able to develop it, in such a way that it will stand against all odds and pass all tests. That is when you have a product that will be exportable. You need to have a production base that can accommodate the kind of volumes you are talking about. You ask Ghanaians to export X amount or X tons of shito, and it will take them months to do it. Why? Because the raw materials are not there, the production capacity is not there, the technology is not there, and then these are things that impede the success of whatever initiative that they put in place.
So you've been on the exports field or in the export scene for quite some time now. What would you say our potential is as a country? And from the information or from the feedback that you get, what products do you think we can go into that will enrich this sector?
I have always said that after cocoa, which get the support right from planting to harvesting to marketing, everything the whole value chain has been taken care of. As a country, we need to also identify another product that we can give the same kind of support. And I will be very selfish to say that shito connotes Ghana. Why don't we adapt shito as a country commodity and give it the needed support and export in that kind of volume, because the market is out there. The market is out there. So once we are able to do that, we should right from raw material sourcing, technology, personnel, research and development to marketing. Because marketing, to do it at the enterprise level is very difficult. But if we had a center where you could go and source information, export promotion is doing their best, but I don't think it is enough. Where we should be handheld as they are doing to cocoa and other, even now shea butter is coming on board, and these are all progressive, proactive, measures that they are being taken. But I think let's identify a product and give it the needed support for us to be able to export in volumes.
So with your experience, if you were to coach new entrants into the non-traditional export sector, where do you think you'll start from?
I will start with the understanding the product itself, product development. R&D is very, very essential and key, and that has contributed immensely to the success of SAMBA.
All right, so now let's take a look at policies, some policies that you believe that when implemented can boost the country's export drive.
I would say that the industrial policy that was started some time ago, there have been different stages, and of course I was part of it in some time ago, to come up with an industrial policy that will address SMEs in the export sector. It hasn't seen the light of the day yet, but I think if there are policies that will promote the production cycle, that is the raw material acquisition, the technology side of it, and then the marketing side of it. Marketing meaning that packaging, everything that goes into marketing should be promoted, and that is where I think some kind of intervention must be introduced in that sector for us to be able to move forward with that.
So you did mention that most people start this exports business and then they fall along the way. What would you say companies like SAMBA Foods has done differently to be able to sustain itself up until this point?
I think in the beginning I told you that SAMBA does not take no for an answer, and we are determined to succeed no matter the odds. So we do research. If we fail here today, we will need to go back and investigate why we failed. If a product gets spoiled, we will take it to the lab to determine why it got spoiled. Is our system, the system not working? Are the raw materials not okay? So you really have to investigate and be conscious of what you are doing. Without that, without the passion, without knowing what you want to achieve, there's no way you can succeed.
So basically, your biggest driving force is determination.
Yes, and then the passion for it.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we're about wrapping up. Yes. And before we go, do you have any final words?
Final word. First and foremost, I would like to thank you so much for coming. And what I will entreat, Ghanaian young people, particularly the women, is to look around them and see what they can do. Women or female, they normally do things that are around the house, where they can start around the house because of the multiple role of the woman. You need to be very close to the house. But once you are able to identify that, sit down and think through it, discuss with people, bring people on board, because SAMBA wouldn't have been able to do it. I couldn't have done it alone. They are experts, finance and administration, production, marketing. These are all areas that you can't do it on your own. But from the beginning, you may have to start it on your own. And don't shy away from starting small. You have to think big, but you have to start small. So with that kind of approach, even the universe will conspire to help you to succeed.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Letitia Osafo-Addo. Thank you so much. It's been an educative interview, and we'll be coming back as and when the need arises. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you.
So that was Mrs. Letitia Osafo-Addo, the founder and the Chief Executive Officer of SAMBA Foods. International Trade Focus continues. Stay tuned. And it's a wrap for another edition of International Trade Focus. Join us same time next week for some more on international trade-related activities here in Ghana and beyond. International Trade Focus is brought to you by Ghana Free Zones Authority. They say sharing good fortunes, and supported by GOIL, Good Energy, and Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, Truly, Agric, and more. International Trade Focus is also supported by Pediase Valley Resort. My name is Anna Spiro. Thank you so much for your company.